Hello, fellow creators. My name is Kareem, and I hope you're having an amazing day. So today I want to talk about a question I've been getting. Why isn't this meditation working for me? Now, I know you might be trying to meditate every day. You're following all the steps of Dr. Joe Dispenza's breath technique, but there's an issue. You're not seeing the mental state that you want to be in, and you're not seeing your world change within you and around you. And you're seeing others in an elated mental state, getting that feeling of oneness and actually manifesting what they want. And you're thinking, why isn't this happening for me? Why isn't this working for me? Maybe you're getting a bit frustrated and you don't know what to do. So I'm going to answer your question to why it potentially isn't working. But first, let's hear what Dr. Joe Dispenza has to say on it and get some of his input. And then I'll give you my feedback. But as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button below, click the bell for more notifications, like this video, and please leave me a comment below. I want to know your feedback. I want to know what you guys have to say.
People were literally turning the genes off or down-regulating the genes that had to do with their disease and up-regulating new genes right in their meditation, and their body began to change before our eyes. As long as you're living by the hormones of stress, you're living as a materialist, because the hormones of stress cause us to believe that the outer world is more real than the inner world. And those hormones absolutely make us feel separate from possibility. Why? Because when you're being chased by a lion, it's not time to create. It's not time to trust. It's not time to learn. It's time for emergency. So the majority of people in the Western world spend the majority of their time preparing themselves for the worst case scenario and protecting themselves from it. They're basically trying to predict the future from the past. And when we get it right, you know what we say, right? You need to hang out with me. See how smart I am? But what happens when it doesn't happen? That's called anxiety. It's called neurosis. It's called insomnia. And so when we live by the hormones of stress and we're defining reality by our senses, we become materialists because we feel separate from possibility, and all of our attention goes on our bodies, the environment, and time. Another way to say that is, from a quantum perspective, the atom is 99.9999% energy and information, and we're putting all of our attention on the particle, and we're missing out on possibility. And so these people had to hit a point of crisis where they finally started taking their attention off their outer world and started to ask themselves some bigger questions. Who am I? What is a greater expression of myself? What would I have to change to be happy? Who in history do I admire that I want to be like? And they began to contemplate and speculate and rehearse who they were going to be if they got better. And the mere process of thinking about who they were going to be began to change their brain. And when you marry a clear intention is a thoughtful process, with an elevated emotion, that's a heartfelt process, you move into a new state of being. And as they began to remind themselves every single day of who they no longer wanted to be, and they reminded themselves every day of who they did want to be, they began to cause their brain to fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations. And whenever you make your brain work differently, you're changing your mind. Because according to neuroscience, mind is the brain in action. Mind is the brain at work. So they reminded themselves every day of who they wanted to be, and they began to fire and wire new circuits in their brain that became the very platform or the foundation of who they would become. But here's the point. They said, I'm not getting up from this meditation until I feel like that person. Now, the privilege of being a human being is that we can make thought more real than anything else. And when the thought in their mind became the experience, their heart began to open, and their body, as the unconscious mind, began to believe it was in that new future in the present moment, and they were literally signaling new genes in new ways ahead of the environment. And as they began to fall in love with themselves and gave thanks before it was made manifest, the emotional signature of gratitude means the event has already happened. And so now they were giving their body a taste or a sampling of the future in the present moment. And every day they did it over and over again. And they were unmemorizing emotions that kept them connected to the old self. And they were reconditioning the body to a new mind and to a new emotion. And that heart of theirs began to open. And they went from selfish to selfless. And they moved from a state of survival to a state of creation. And when they were no longer thinking and feeling in the same way, they moved into the fourth quality. They had long moments where they lost track of time and space. What they were doing in their inner world became so real to them that when they opened their eyes, they thought it would be 20 minutes later, and it was an hour and 20 minutes later. And when they did that, that magnificent forebrain, the crowning achievement of the human being, frontal lobe, the creative center, it has connections to all other parts of your brain. And when you're asking open-ended questions like, what would it be like? How would it have to be? The frontal lobe, like a great symphony leader, looks out of the landscape of the entire brain and begins to select different networks of neurons and seamlessly pieces them together to create a new mind. And the moment the brain begins to fire in tandem, the frontal lobe creates a picture. And that picture is called an intention. And when you can make that picture more real than anything else, and you begin to feel inspired by it, your body's no longer living in the past. Now it's living in the future. And every day, as they no longer fired and wired the same circuits in their brain and emotionally signaled the same genes in the same way, they were moving into stasis. And then they began to reverse the process. And a new state of being is a new personality. And a new personality creates a new personal reality. When you become nobody, no one, no thing, nowhere, no time, and you become pure consciousness, a thought in possibility. The moment you are consciousness, now you have dominion over your body. Now you can change something in your environment.
So thank you for taking the time to listen to that. I hope Dr. Joe Dispenza gave you some insight on why you may be having some issues while meditating and why it may not be working for you. Now, to put this in a nutshell, sometimes when we're meditating, and this has even happened to me, we're sitting there calm, meditating, and then the stress hormone activates. You say, oh, I have a meeting at 2. I have to go out and water the plants. I have to walk the dog. I, ordered a sandwich from Subway, and they, gave me wheat instead of rye. And then we have all these thoughts, and what these hormones do is actually counterintuitive. What they happen to change is our perspective. We start going from the present to, oh, what's going to happen in the future. And because of that, we get into a materialistic state and start worrying about our body, our mind, and just everything going on around us when we should be focusing and just clearing our mind, just a clean slate. Just when we're not staying in the present, it's quite difficult. And I do want to make it clear that people meditate for a lot of reasons. People are doing this exercise for a lot of reasons. Some people do it to relax. Some people do it to feel a mystical feeling, a feeling of oneness. Some people do it maybe even for health reasons. But there's a lot of people who are doing this meditation specifically because they want to change something within them, their situation, or the environment around them. They want to manifest something different. Now, I want to focus on those people who want to manifest something different or make a change. One thing that is very simple, but maybe you haven't done before, is breathe out and clear your mind. Be in the present. Don't worry about everything that's going around you, what's going to happen in the future, what's going to happen 2 hours from now or tomorrow. Just be present, clear your mind, let yourself relax. As Lao Tzu said of the Tao Te Ching, nature never hurries, but everything is accomplished. You're part of nature. You don't have to hurry. You don't have to rush. Stay in the present. Keep your mind clear. We want a clear slate here. and allow yourself to just be, not doing. We're human beings, right? Not doing. And by doing that, you'll be able to relax. And I want you to start when you're in that relaxed state, when everything's clear. I want you to put the dominant version of who you want to be, what you want to see in your life, what goals you want to see accomplished, what things you want to change. Don't get stuck up on, oh, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough prestige. I don't have enough connections. I don't have enough Instagram followers or social media followers. Let the limiting beliefs go of what's going on right now and just focus on the present, focus on your imagination, clear your mind, and allow yourself to just be. And what this does will allow your mind to start believing. It'll allow your subconscious mind to start really believing in your manifestation. Believing in who you want to be is who you really are now. Knowing that your present reality is unfolding without any resistance. And that's very powerful. Now, a lot of people might think, well, how is this going to work? Is this possible? When you convince your subconscious mind, just like when you get sad during a movie, or when you react, to a multimedia thing, to a video game or that, it's not real life, but the subconscious doesn't. And by clearing your mind and putting forth the dominant version of yourself, you're allowing yourself to be who you really want to be. You're telling your subconscious mind, this is the real reality, by relaxing. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what some people's objections might be. They might find it hard to believe these things. I only have $10 in my bank account, and I'm trying to manifest being a billionaire or a millionaire. I just don't see how that's possible. I have a really hard time believing it. It's just not set in reality. Well, once you do all of this practicing, you push yourself from the reality we're in now to the quantum reality. And I'm going to make another video on that. But for now, let's focus on clearing our mind, putting the present version of who you want to be, who you want to see yourself as the present you. I already have wealth. I already have a loving relationship. I already have all these things. They're just taking time to manifest through the quantum world. In the quantum world, it just pops up. In our reality, there's a time delay. So allow that time delay and you'll start to see real world signs of what's manifesting. And I know you're going to say, hey, I'm still having a hard time believing that. That's fine. I have a video, if you're really stuck on this, called The Billionaire Mindset. You can check that out in the description below. If you're really stuck on, hey, this is just not possible in my current circumstance. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I would love to know your feedback, so leave a comment below. Have you tried meditating? What are your current circumstances? Have you ever thought of just giving up, or are you just frustrated? I would love to know your feedback, so please subscribe, like this video, hit the bell for notifications, leave me a comment below, and thank you so much for watching.